is the significance of the tree within Aryan tradition? Many of you are familiar with the symbol of Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil is the world tree within the Norse tradition, and it supports the 9 realms. It is the pillar of the cosmos. This is a concept that is linked to yogic practices. The tree represents the spine. In Tantra Yoga, it is said that the spine is the center of the cosmos. Why is the spine regarded as the center of the cosmos? Well, it's because the spine is the seat of the nervous system. The nervous system extends through the spine, and the nerves spread out through the body like branches and roots of a tree. And it is through the nervous system that we experience the material world. Without the nervous system and its support pillar, the spine, we would not have consciousness in its form as is understood within the age of Shakti, the material age. This is a concept that is represented within the Norse tradition, in Yggdrasil, as well as every other great Aryan tradition, including the Jewish tradition. In the Jewish tradition, the tree is presented as the tree of knowledge. And in the creation story within the book of Genesis, we see that the tree of knowledge is accessed by the divine feminine, which is associated with Eve. Eve is tempted by Satan to gain knowledge through the tree. She bites an apple from the tree of knowledge, and this grants her an understanding of the material cosmos. At this point, she leaves the point of contemplation, the state of the divine masculine, and she enters into the material world of creation and destruction, of pleasure and pain. This is also represented by the symbols of Shiva and Shakti. Shiva being the contemplative aspect, the divine masculine, and Shakti being the active divine feminine. Shakti creates the material world through action. She breaks the meditative contemplation that defines the age of Shiva, and a flood occurs, which is the filling of material space. This is what is represented in the story of creation. When Eve accesses the tree of knowledge, she is practicing yoga and she is acting as Shakti, the divine feminine, whereas Adam remains in contemplation and is submissive to the will of the solar god Yahweh. Shakti, Eve, rebels against the solar aspect and expresses the will of the lunar feminine aspect. And in doing so, she gains serpent power, or the Kundalini. The serpent within the Garden of Eden is in fact representative of Kundalini, the serpent energy. And the serpent energy is also represented within the Norse tradition of Yggdrasil. You have Nidhogg, the serpent that gnaws at the roots of the world tree. This is the Kundalini energy. You also have within that tradition the representation of the chakra system, the various points of consciousness along the spine. However, in the Norse tradition, these chakras are represented by various animals. You have 4 stags, a squirrel, a hawk, and an eagle, each representing a different state of consciousness or chakra. This is another association between the Aryan tree and the spine within yoga practice. So what is very interesting about the representation of the divine tree within the Jewish tradition is that the act of creation, the Shakti aspect, is presented as sin, as something to be rejected. And this is not a surprise because Yahweh, being a solar figure and a representation of Jupiter, is biased towards preservation of the divine masculine, the contemplative aspect. And so, with Yahweh being such a dominant force within the Jewish tradition, once the polytheistic elements of that tradition were abandoned, you have Shakti being presented not as a balancing force, but as something to be suppressed, something to be thrown aside. Satan, the aspect of the divine feminine that is rebellious against the solar cult, is presented as the ultimate evil because he facilitates Shakti. He opens the door for Eve to gain knowledge through the metaphorical yogic practice of accessing the tree of knowledge, or in Tantra Yoga, the spine.